They have both gotten reps with runs.
All right, gentlemen, our first conversation with James Franklin has to do with something that happened pregame, which is the national
Asking
anthem.
me what he can do with the pipes?
Yeah, well,
That's out of my area of expertise.
I'm just kidding. We're not talking about that today. What we are talking about is the transfer portal window. I just scared everybody on screen. I didn't tell anybody I was going to do that. We are talking about the transfer portal and what Penn State is looking for now that camp has broke.
I think we're in a good place right now, but I think we need some more depth and more competition at D tackle. I think we need some more depth and competition at wide receiver, because I do think we could get by West Virginia or by game 4 or game 5. I think we could have 6 guys that we feel good about, but it's not competitive right now. We're trying to figure out who the third is, although a guy stepped up today. I want there to be legitimate competition at every position. And then besides that, we won't turn down a great player at any position. So, the coaches were talking about, the phones are buzzing. It's all over the place right now. It's crazy. I addressed it with our team in the locker room afterwards.
So this has been something I find interesting coming out of the game, is that it kind of feels like a little bit out of one side of the mouth, one side of the other. Like, we believe in the guys we have, but we want more guys. So you have Dante Cephas, who's about to commit to Penn State here in May. Are they adding more? And does that say something to you about Malik McLean and how they feel that has gone so far this spring? Fitz?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think that he has kind of been the guy that they like. Remember when he committed, we were saying he's probably not a guy to step on right away. He's got to get, accustomed to this new speed, all that kind of stuff. And then he showed up, ran a 4.4, was fantastic. It's great. And then the expectations went up a little bit. And I think he performed to the expectations that we originally had for him. But, they went up. Naturally, they went up after he got on campus, started working out and things like that. So I think that is kind of where he sits, in that maybe 2024 is a time for him to be a guy, but I don't think he's there yet. So I have a tough time interpreting this one, because number one, he can't talk about Dante Cephas. Dante Cephas is supposed to be here next month. Like, he can't talk about him in the sense that he's already committed, part of the team, whatever. Yeah. Like, he can't talk about that. But at the same time, they've looked at 3 receivers before. Like, you look back to the transfer portal window, they had talked about that. I mentioned Gary Bryant the other day on the show. Like, they will keep looking for guys that are dudes that can play right away. Will you find them in the spring transfer portal? I have my doubts on like, unless it's a guy that they've been watching for a long, long time, probably not. But they're going to take the opportunity to reach out, to do their due diligence, and this is also team building. This is also building that 2024 roster, building that 2025 roster. Do you bring in a guy that's got 3 years left that can maybe be in the back end of that rotation, but at the same time, you're looking for the future. So that's the way I see it. That you're not pigeonholing yourself into just finding guys that are going to help you right away. And I know that sounds kind of stupid, because that's kind of what the transfer portal has been all about for Penn State, is guys that can help them right away. But I think that there's an opportunity there. They offered 2 offensive linemen coming out of the portal, or that just went into the portal this week. So do they need offensive linemen? You look at the scholarship breakdown, not technically, but they're not going to turn guys down that they think can play here and can play well here. So you're trying to address future situations. Maybe offensive tackle in 2024 is a great example. Like, Caden's going to be gone. Olu's going to be gone. You got Drew Shelton back. You got a couple of guys that you think maybe are developmental guys, but you have an opportunity to start in 2024. Now, is that the best selling point for a guy that's in the portal right now? Probably not, but you're going to make your shot or shoot your shot and trying to see if that can work out. I'm very curious to see if they look at maybe a kicker, maybe an underclassman corner, the positions that you don't really think about. What's going to make it tough is they're at the edge of the scholarship limit right now. Like, there's going to have to be attrition to add more guys. Do you play that balancing act? Do you walk that line? That's the biggest question that I have right now. And, is it much different to take a wide receiver or to take an offensive tackle? I don't know. So I think that there is definite interest. They have these guys researching, watching tape. I don't want to say over scouting, but like doing a heck of a lot of legwork for probably a small return in terms of guys that go into the portal, guys that are already in the portal, things like that. So I'm very curious to see which direction they go to. I think they're going to explore all options, and they kind of owe it to themselves to do it. This is not free agency in the sense of like NFL free agency, but it's as close as you're going to get to in the college game to trying to plug holes when you can, and that's what they're doing.
Nate, you mentioned moving the goalposts after the game on Saturday. Do you, just for people here, kind of readdress what you were talking about there and how you think that it's not bad, if I'm remembering what you said correctly. Like they feel like they found something out, but they also want more now. Is that kind of an accurate description of what you were talking about? Also, your mic is muted.
Sorry, Fitz was on a roll. I just didn't want to. Anyway, no, I think that the conversation throughout the spring, going into the spring, was we need to find a third. We need to find a third. We need to find a third. That was the hammering it home because Keandre Lambert-Smith and Trey Wallace had kind of separated themselves early in the process, whether that was even before spring practice started or certainly during spring practice, at the beginning of spring practice. And then by the end of the day on Saturday, it was, we really need 6. We're trying to have a room where there's 6 and that there's legitimate competition and there's, all the things that he just said, right? Is getting that room into a place where it's not so important that there's someone who pushes Keandre Lambert-Smith, although that would be good, certainly. It's more important that there's legitimate options all pushing each other at 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Like that little in the middle. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think you make a really great point there, and I want to bring this up. Fitz, we talked about this spring of Keandre Lambert-Smith playing in the slot. Is that going to happen? Is he going to play outside? And we saw a good bit of him playing in the slot during the blue-white game. So I think that's interesting that you talk about the position and wanting to push guys. And to me, like the slot is fine. It's, do you have guys that can push your young Amari Evans and that can push Harrison Wallace on the outside? Because James Franklin's also talked about, we need a guy that can break a tackle and go 80. And it's harder to do that from the slot. Just on average, I know that the slot is much more valuable than it used to be, and guys are, teams are putting their best player in the slot more frequently. But when he talks about like game breakers, he's talking about out wide, you break a tackle, you go 80. So does that also then narrow what you're looking for in the portal? If you do add another guy with Cephas coming in, you're looking for somebody who specifically can play on the outside. Is that a fair, like, we're done with slot, we feel good about that, we want somebody who can come in and be that big time guy on the outside?
I think they would lean that way. I don't think you put your first off, you do yourself a disservice by saying we're only looking for outside guys at this point. They did that, and not that they did that, but they got McLean, who is an outside guy all the way. But Keandre is an inside out guy. You look at the other slot guys, Caden's in there, Liam Clifford's in there. You've got some other guys that, kind of work through that. And Keandre probably an inside out guy, of that group. So I don't really think that's the thought process. I think the thought process is who gives us the best chance to rotate through. They think that Cephas is an outside guy. They think that Cephas is a guy that can go the distance. Like they think he's really good. Is he going to live up to those expectations? We don't know. He's not here yet. So I think that you've put yourself in a position where you're just trying to add. It's sort of a BPA situation. It's draft season, so talk about best player available. So whether that guy is 5'10", whether that guy is 6'3", I kind of think it's irrelevant if he just can't get the job, if he can't get the job done. So that's where I would go with that. I would lean outside, yes, but I don't think you pigeonhole yourself into one specific one of those positions. Sorry.
Right. That's a really great point, especially when the portal, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what's going in anyway. Yeah.